Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Welcome in, Dingleberries and Dinguses. This is your week. What is this, 14? No. 12.
Yeah, maybe.
Time and space. They're not colliding tonight.
No,
Whatever we
not at
do,
all.
Welcome into the podcast. We have 2 weeks left in the regular season. This is going to be a hard-hitting episode. We're going to run down all the playoff scenarios for you, throw a little shade at some folks, pour a few out for some folks, and maybe cheers a few folks who have clinched. So should be an exciting episode. We have Hugh Stevener with us here in his mansion. Welcome, Hugh. How are you tonight?
Good. Yeah, California was a pretty big upgrade for us. So, yeah, I got Winston Churchill in my Beverly Hills mansion, so it's pretty cool. Yeah,
That's
good otherwise.
So, yeah, we're a little bit late in the podcast this week. It's Thursday night. It's a busy night. It's an exciting night. We got Husker volleyball. I think they're up 2-0 right now.
Josh Allen has 2 touchdowns. It's not even halftime yet.
Yep, the Bills are playing the Patriots in a really weird game. I'm not going to get started on that because I think we could be here arguing all night over what's going on in that game. So, yeah, let's recap what happened last week before we get going with anything else. So, I honestly thought I was going to lose to Zach. I really did.
You got real close.
This year.
Darn near.
So that was
near.
A huge win. Wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it sure would have put me in a lot worse situation. So we snuck it out, stole a victory from Zach. And then Patrick's mustache beat Patrick. At what point are you so upset with your mustache that you just get rid of it?
If I don't make the playoffs, the mustache is coming off.
What if your mustache makes the playoffs? Are you going to take it off just to spite your mustache's team?
100%.
100%. Just
I'll live stream
on the podcast. No Pat, just the mustache.
Just the remnants of the mustache.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
I'd auction off to the highest bidder. Isn't that a thing nowadays?
I would. How about whoever's last place has to shave Pat's mustache off?
I love that.
Ooh.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Conveniently says the guy going to California. But fortunately,
not losing this year, so it doesn't matter for me.
I was going to say our next matchup, Kittle Corn, pulled a wild upset over Apollo Creed. 140.
I mean, okay, I beat him twice this year. Can you call that an upset?
You know,
I don't think so.
Considering
damn, I love playoff lock Steve. It's coming in all guns and blazing right now.
Well, it's never a sure thing for me until it's a sure thing, but now it is. So
you say, Steve, you were his first draft choice to be in his division, and you have gone 2-0 against him.
I know. I think in the first podcast, he said that I was a cupcake team or whatever. He had no fear facing me. Well, that's all I can say.
And you showed him, didn't you?
The record speaks for itself. It sure did. So
Steve turned left and slapped Creighton right in the face with his dick.
That
such a beautiful sight to see.
What's funny though is that I think he lost last week, but he also clinched somehow. So
yeah, the right people lost.
Whatever. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah, unfortunate people lost.
Yeah. So our next matchup was AFC West, and he also got upset. Whoever his owner is, we don't know who actually runs the AFC West team. All we know is that the king was the king of the AFC West realm this week. Pretty inconsequential game, other than it takes AFC West a game back in the bye chase and the chase for that division championship. In our next matchup, Corn Kid also pulled an upset and beat Hertz Donut just barely. But that put Pierce one step closer to elimination, and Zeke and Destroy somehow pulled it out of his butt and beat Scott's Tots at Brecken.
That was an upset.
That was
because he can't. If it was not for Josh Jacobs, he would have lost that game.
Oh, for sure,
100%.
Can we raise our hands if we wanted to draft Josh Jacobs this year? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
No, nobody.
That's where we're at.
That was the pick of the year. Write it down. somehow Josh Jacobs is going to carry Clay to a championship. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
First off, though, before we go any further, I feel like we need to make a toast to both Steve and Clay for beating both of the Reed brothers this week.
We had a double Reed loss this week.
A double Reed loss. So cheers to you, fellas.
Man,
Thanks. We do what we can.
that's interesting.
That's very interesting. Very few times has it happened, but I feel like more than not this season.
To end this weekly recap, I just want to say thank you to everybody in the league this week, because I think literally everybody that I needed to lose got beat.
Yep.
I mean, it was incredible.
Yep.
Just to create some distance. And you too, Pat. This is the same for you, the same for Mitch. We saw, well, I needed you to lose too, so thank you, Mitch. We saw Clay beat Brecken. We saw Andy beat Pierce. AFC West lost a game. Yeah, Steven Creighton, that was kind of inconsequential. But then you lost also, Pat. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
Everyone minus Mitch, because Mitch had to play me and beat me. Everyone who had to win that game lost that game.
Yep.
It was wild. I can't there are very few words to describe this, but it is the spot for the 6th seed right now is getting very interesting.
We could have had it even more interesting, though, had some of those teams won. I mean, we're looking at a different world if Brecken and Pierce hang on. If Alexander wins, I mean, that's a tight race. You know,
if I beat Gizmo, he would have been done, straight up. And now that I lost to him, he has a very large window of hope.
I wouldn't call it large. So let's go ahead. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first, before we get to that, I want to run down the power rankings as determined by the Fantasy Football Hub. Again, don't hate me, hate the website. So they have in first place Zeke and Destroy.
Yep.
Which I think is rightfully deserved.
I think you can't have a power ranking without him at the top at this point.
Yep. They have me second, which is interesting. Third, they have Alexander. Fourth, Creighton. Fifth, Brecken.
Makes no sense to me.
It makes all the sense of us. He's fantastic. Sixth, they have Steve. 7, Pierce. 8, Pat. 9, Mitch. 10, John. Zach at 11. Then Andy at last. So, Andy, we didn't pick you last. The website did. But you're probably at the bottom of the hill, so you can't pull up the website anyways. So please don't get upset.
The power rankings all season, no matter where I look, have me at like the lowest statistically possible ranking. Like I have the bye week, not locked right now, but like, looking good for it.
You're so
I'm in my 6th place. Thank you guys. Really. 2 weeks ago, like I said in the text, I was 8th, projected for 8th. Not possible. The second it was statistically not possible anymore, they're like, okay, fine. 6th.
But let's take a second though. Look what being in the playoffs has done to our friend Steve. What started as Steve is Kansas this year has turned into Steve is Hugh Hefner.
Well, Kansas did make a bowl this year, so
yeah. So
maybe I was
a house apartment now, and
Steve still was Kansas.
This is was. We need to change
still
that.
Still Kansas.
Can we go retroactively change that?
Good Kansas. I'm not bad Kansas. Good Kansas.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the playoff picture. And to the best of my knowledge, I have these spelled out fairly accurately. Obviously, there's some head-to-heads and some certain point, tiebreakers that we won't exactly mention, but we basically have 5 categories. Is how we've broken down the league right now. We have our locked and loaded category. And number 1 atop that category is Clay, rightfully so. He is the winner out of division, Andy, and probable number 1 seed. All he has to do to lock up that 1 seed is win one of these last 2 matchups, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nobody else. Actually, yeah. All he has to do is win one of these, because I believe he has head-to-head on you and Creighton. Correct, Steve? So,
yeah.
Yep. Our second locked and loaded team.
Wait, hold up. Clay has beaten both Reed brothers.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I lost him too.
That's wild.
Clay has only lost random matchups this year.
Yeah,
It's-
with me
it's
being
probably
one of
when-
them. Yeah,
Probably when Josh Jacobs was on a bye, to be honest with you.
and like the beginning of the Raiders season when they weren't really anything, still aren't anything. But
Yeah, he lost to you week
Yeah,
one.
Josh
week three
Jacobs
to
didn't.
John. I guess he did lose to Creighton, so Creighton does have the head-to-head over Clay.
Oh,
okay. I was gonna say I thought that was weird, but
Yep. So Clay just has to have Creighton lose one, and he wins one, and it's a done deal. Either or scenario.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second locked and loaded team is the Stever. What's your team name, Steve? Kansas?
Kill corn.
Kill Corn. Kill Corn. Which
Yeah.
Kill has been like the least contributor to your team, but hey,
You know,
Just
they're
thought
all
hands
we're
down.
we're a team though. We all.
so I'm gonna
contribute.
read you my show notes for this segment here. It says WTF has head-to-head tiebreaker with Creed at 2-0.
Yep.
that's bananas to me.
Yeah.
Utterly bananas.
So our third clinch team is Creighton, who's also out of that same division. Most likely going to come down a tiebreaker for the number 2 seed and buy in round 1. That's probably what's going to happen right now. I think you're looking at Clay, Steve, Creighton, maybe Alexander if he wins out. And I think realistically, that's probably about the only people who have a shot at it. So congratulations to you guys. Cheers to y'all. We hate you if we're sitting on the outside, but we're proud of you.
ESPN has you at a 86% chance, which is
Yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah. So we're looking at the next category, which is highly likely. And the next highest probability is Alexander at 96%. So all he needs to do to get in is either steal a win from you, Steve, or to Creighton. But that's a tough stretch. That's a really tough ask. He's going against 2 quality opponents. And that's why I think, I'm not sure what that 4% case scenario is where he doesn't get in. I haven't ran the perfect test on that old simulator, whatever it is. But all I'm saying is, I know it says 96%, but beating you, Steve, and Creighton in the same week or in the same stretch seems really difficult. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough.
There's got to be somebody that even if he loses out, needs to lose.
Something
Yeah.
crazy's got to happen. It's probably, Andy and Zach and John go undefeated or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then our other highly likely team, there's only 2 of them here, is myself, 85%. Obviously, I'm in first place in division Mitch by 1 game over you, Pat, and over Mitch. Right now, I have the tiebreaker on Pat, but that could change this week. And Mitch has a tiebreaker on me. So this division is still very interesting. There's a lot of stuff up in the air. The way I have to clinch is just beat Mitch.
Is the
Yeah, I'd
playoff-
appreciate it if you beat Mitch.
Is the winner of each division make it to the playoffs for sure?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
100%.
guaranteed. You'd be 1, 2, 3 seed.
Gotcha.
So you have to win your division to get a 1 or a 2 seed, and the third division winner who doesn't have the best 2 records gets the 3 seed. So
Gotcha.
that's also fairly important because I'm not sure. Well, I don't know. I'd probably rather play or Creighton. That's tough. Where you, Steve? I don't know. So yeah, I'm probably going to. At least I hope I win the division because Mitch has that nasty bye week in week 14.
Hmm.
Who's he have on bye that week? Can we check that quick
I can get that pulled up.
here? So yeah, he
Creighton.
has
You're saying Creighton's got
Jonathan
a bunch
Taylor,
of people on
Aaron-
bye.
this Creighton too.
Oh, you're saying John has a bunch of people
Oh,
on
Mitch.
bye?
No, Mitch.
Mitch does.
Our division is going to come down to basically, Pat, all this week does is either eliminate you or make it really close to elimination for you, or it really is kind of inconsequential for me. in some ways, because all I have to do is beat Mitch. Because I also, if we go 1-1, Pat, I still have tiebreaker over you because I've scored at least 20 times as many points as you have this year. Shot fired. Right?
Yeah, so Jonathan Taylor, Terry McLaurin, Taysom Hill, Miles Sand. Oh no, just 3. He just has 3.
Alan Lazard, Cole Kmet. So he has no tight end.
Well, they're on his bench, but
yeah. So he'll have a team out there. Just won't have Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. So Mitch really needs to win this next week.
Yes, he does.
Like he has no. I don't think he has any other choice but to win because he will not. He's not going to beat you with 3 of his players gone, especially with Jonathan Taylor being the number 1 pick. So he is going up against who this week?
Zach.
He's going up against Zach. So that's probable. That's a very possible scenario that he wins. And he's not going to beat you. So assuming that Mitch loses, what has to happen week 14? Obviously, we don't know yet because we don't know the results of week 13. Right. But if I'm Mitch, I would be sweating right now.
Yeah, this is his playoff week right here. So let's look at that. Actually brings us to our next category, the middle category, and it's called the bubble. The bubble's a fun and exciting place to be. So Mitch is
embrace debate,
and he has a 39% chance to make the playoffs. And basically, my notes say he needs a win this week and a miracle in week 14. So at this point, I think it's pretty evident Mitch needs to win out to have a chance at the playoffs. And then Pat, you're my other team in the bubble, and they have you at 50% playoff odds. And also for you, you need to win out. So you and Mitch are both in, hey, we got to win out the rest of the season mode. And Pat, you need Alexander to lose both games, or Brecken and Pierce go 1-1.
Why would I care about Alexander? Because as it stands right now, if the season ended today, I'm in the playoffs.
I'm not so sure about that actually.
Yes, because I'm currently the 6th seed.
Oh yeah, you are. Yep.
So if the season ended today, I'm in the playoffs, and Alexander is as well. So I don't care that Alexander wins or loses. I care though that Brecken and Pierce lose.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you either need Alexander to lose both, or for Brecken and Pierce to go 1-1. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's making sense now. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the Alexander thing happened, great. The biggest piece of it though is Brecken and Pierce losing.
But see, if Brecken wins out or Pierce wins out and you do not, or even if you do.
So let's play a little game here. Who does Brecken play this week? He plays the Corn Kid. We will get into this later with our projections, but
Brecken. I thought Brecken plays Pierce. Brecken plays Pierce this week, dog.
Oh, I'm in week 14 on the site. My bad. So he plays Andy next week. This week he's playing Pierce, right?
Yeah. So
one of them is going to lose. So that's a great start. Next week, we already know that Brecken is playing Andy. Hertz Donut is playing Clay.
Yep.
So in all reality, I need Pierce to win this week. If Pierce can pull off the upset, I feel like I'm in a lock.
Not gonna happen.
We're gonna see. All we can do is see.
We'll see. So our second to last category is somehow still not eliminated. Losing, you're out. So if any of these guys lose, that's ball game. Pack up shop. Shut the little metal gate thing. Call it a year. There is Brecken, who has the highest odds at 17%, Pierce at 12%, and Andy at 3%. So somehow all 3 of these guys are still in the chase with 2 weeks remaining. This is perhaps even more of an interesting grouping to watch, even more so than the bubble. So Brecken, there's a lot in the line this one versus Pierce. basically whoever loses this game is out of the playoffs, and that's why it's going to be our game of the week this week, which we'll get a pick later. So this is playoff football right now for those two guys. Same thing for Andy, but again, this is a pretty steep mountain. He plays Clay, and I don't know, maybe he can trade, some ears of sweet corn next year for Clay resting Josh Jacobs. Something could be arranged. But yeah, Andy, he has to win a huge upset. Not a lot of high hope for him. Love you, buddy, but no birthday presents this week. And then playing for the Scrophy, again, we're going to pour one out. Zach and John, second pod in a row. Toast to you guys.
Cheers,
Holding
fellas.
down the fort at the bottom. So good on you guys. Anyways, to review those categories, locked and loaded, Clay, Steve, Creighton, highly likely to make the playoffs, Alexander and myself. On the bubble, we have Pat and Mitch. There's some wiggle room there. Somehow still not eliminated, losing you're out. This is Brecken, Pierce, and Andy. And playing for the Scrophy are John and Zach. So I'm going to let Pat take it away with a little bit of blind resume here.
All righty, we've got our new segment back this week, and I'll be honest, I don't think either of you two are going to get this. This is a very, very, very funny blind resume for both of these teams. So let's just get started. So for this, we're going to doing two, just to be fair. So first team, they have the number 2 quarterback in PPR rankings. They have the number 1 running back per PPR rankings. A top 4 tight end. They have retained 50% of their roster since draft day.
Man.
They have spent the second most amount of money on a player in this year's draft. And this one's not really going to help, but I found it very interesting because I went down a rabbit hole of this. This team has spent $74 or more on a single player in the last 3 drafts. I could only go back to 2020 because that was my first year in the league, but that's why that's a stat.
So you're saying they have a top 2 quarterback.
Correct.
That's all this season, right?
This season, yes. Everything minus that last bit is this season.
Isn't
And a
it?
top 4 running back.
Number 1 running back.
Who's the number 1 running back?
I cannot tell you. I cannot
this,
tell
Isn't
you.
it?
This
What?
guy, Steve.
I think it's.
I think it's
Isn't it?
Pierce.
That was Creighton.
I think it's Pierce. 'Cause
No,
I
wait,
think-
Creighton. Creighton. Who's Creighton? Creighton is Brady.
I think Eckler's the number 1 running back. It's either Eckler or
Yeah, I actually. No,
Eckler
but
gets
I don't think Pierce didn't spend that much on him though. I thought it was Derrick Henry went for a whole bucket of money.
For reference, the number 1, the player that had the most amount of money spent on them was Jonathan Taylor, and that was Mitch's team who
Yeah.
spent $80.
Yeah.
Which is also the highest ever spent on a player in our draft history.
Maybe it
I'm
was.
thinking Pierce. 'Cause I think Jalen Hurts fits that criteria for a top 2 quarterback. And I think that Eckler is probably the number 1 running back.
You don't think doesn't Brecken have Lamar?
Yeah, but Lamar's been bad this year.
I wouldn't say
was-
bad,
He
but
was hot to start. Yeah,
The start
agree.
here,
just to mix it up, I'll say Brecken, but I think you're right.
okay. So we have Colin's guess for Pierce, and we have Steve's guess for Brecken. Now, based on this criteria, where do you think this team would rank?
what's for sure a playoff team. I mean, you anytime you got that many players inside the top 5 at their position, granted, tight end's a little wishy-washy with that because you have like Travis Kelce skip a few, Mark Andrews skip 20 dozen, and then you're at the number 3 tight end. So
Sure.
that one's a little tough, but
Sure,
I
yeah.
think if you have top 2 quarterback and a top 2 running back, you're in good
And a
position.
top 4 tight end. Can't forget about that.
So I would probably rank that person at least in the 3 to 5 range.
Well,
Steve?
since we are guessing Pierce and Brecken, I would say not, because statistically they won't be making the playoffs.
It's a very tough statistic.
You'd figure, but there's a twist, so
Mhm.
no. But they should have, which is why I partly think it's Brecken.
The answer is Pierce,
Is Pierce. Good.
I knew it.
Good
who
job.
has a 12% chance to make the playoffs.
So Eckler went for the second highest.
$74.
I thought he was up there.
I thought I remembered it being Derrick Henry. Brecken has Derrick Henry, doesn't he?
He
Derrick Henry went
may.
for like 55
I think.
bucks.
I'm pretty sure Zach was the one that drafted him.
No, it was Brecken because he got him like right out of the gate when everybody was shy to spend money. and got
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
That's-
you're right. You're right.
Yep, 55 bucks.
So now on to team number 2. So this team has the number 1 quarterback in PPR rankings right now, the number 1 wide receiver, the number 2 kicker, has 5 players in the top 20 for PPR rankings, has retained more than 50% of their roster since draft day, and has made the second fewest moves this season. Moves including both trades and picking up players in the free agency.
Okay, so I'm out.
I know my kicker is not that good.
C's kicker sucks.
The kicker,
I've
the
had a
number
bunch
2
of kickers.
kicker really surprised me. I was not expecting this kicker to be that high.
think we're
I'll be
gonna-
100% honest.
I think we're going John here. You said
You're going
that was-
John?
That's honestly who I was.
You said
who I was
fewest
saying.
moves, man. It's got to be John.
The second fewest moves, not
Second
the
fewest moves.
fewest, the second fewest.
Who would be the number 1 quarterback right now?
He has the number 1 quarterback. Is that what you
Because
said?
I think
The
Josh
number
Allen is
1 quarterback and the number 1 wide receiver.
Because the other person who's very inactive is Alexander. So I think it's.
I will
Mm.
tell you right now that I made the 3rd fewest moves this season.
Well, what are you doing with your time, Pat?
Is it somehow me? I feel
doing
like
a
I haven't made a
podcast.
ton of moves.
I think it's got to be.
There's no way it's my kicker.
Because Mahomes is number 1.
Oh,
Is he?
yeah,
Josh Allen could
yeah.
be number 1.
It's
Nah, Mahomes number 1.
no Allen's. I think Allen's number 2. Yeah, because I
Don't
know
test
for
me
sure.
on Chiefs Kingdom. Am I right, Pierce?
I would be a good backup guess, but I know for sure my kicker is not number 2. So I'll go Alexander.
Okay.
Alexander.
I
So-
don't even have like a second, pick I can do. It's him.
So before I reveal who this team is, where do you think this team should be ranked based on everything I've given?
Well,
so-
with all the top 20 players, I mean,
5
Yeah,
top 20
playoff.
players.
playoff for sure.
Yeah, but I think he's probably, top 20 is tough, but whenever you have the number 1 quarterback, it always makes things interesting. So I'd say probably somewhere between 5 to 8. But I think if it's Alexander who we're talking about, it's been an interesting year for him, and he's put up a lot of points, like in games where you don't think he's going to. It just he doesn't touch his team, doesn't touch his lineup. All of a sudden, poof! There's 150 points on the board. It's like Puff the Magic Dragon.
I also find it very interesting that he has retained 50% of his roster.
I'm not shocked.
More than 50% actually.
How many moves has he made?
This person has made a total. Give me a second. I think it's 13.
So he's made more moves than he has text sent to the group chat.
That is factual.
Out of the day.
That is factual. No, my mistake. This person has made 12 moves.
Oh.
I made 13 moves.
Still more moves than text in the chat. So is it Alexander? Am I safe? in
Yes,
saying-
yes, it is. It is Alexander.
Perfect.
or Pierce's
Pierce.
second team.
Pierce would have got that too, being such a big Chiefs fan.
Yeah, for sure.
I figured.
Shout out to Red Kingdom.
So, okay, I'm curious. Do you have that list pulled up
Okay.
in front of you? I want to see the correlation between moves made this year and standings right now.
Yeah.
Steve, I gotta tell you, your beard is looking very, very bushy, very full,
Thank you.
very elegant,
Well,
powerful.
I work from home now, so I
It
don't really
looks
need to shave.
amazing.
Thank you.
So can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
this is the season stats. I have this organized by moves.
Okay.
So
So
Brecken
just
has
for
made
reference,
Brecken has made 53 moves, the most out of anybody in this league.
that's every year.
Yep, every year. Currently ranked
gosh.
8th.
That's freaking wild.
Okay, so sort by points for.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, now let's go to the moves. No, like sort by points for, and then I want to look at the
Oh, okay.
yeah, the moves. Okay. With the pointer, are you seeing any sort of trend as we go downwards here? But just ignore Andy. That's what we call in statistics an outlier.
What a graphic.
poor corn.
Like,
He
Andy,
ain't got
I
the
love you, bro.
juice.
I love you, bro, but you just keep trading in one kernel for another kernel, and they aren't the right kernels. So,
Well, now I find this very interesting, right? So Brecken has made the most moves,
yeah,
but
and
he's ranked 8th.
but I would
The
still put him
second
on
most,
paper.
the second most moves. Oh, I'm sorry. Creighton is second and second most. So third most being Corn Kid is last. But here's the thing. He's now 5 and 7.
So
So
okay,
I find
but-
it really interesting that he's made 36 moves in the entirety of this season, and now he's ranked 10th in the league, and he has a 5 and 7 record, and still has a shot to make the playoffs.
that's because of the moves, man. It's 'cause
Yeah.
of the moves.
It very well could be the moves.
But here's the deal. Here's my point here.
Okay.
I think the moves made directly correlates to how you perform most of the time. I think that's a valid statement. And that plays to Creighton and Brecken's strategy statement. I believe in strategy also. So if we look at, there is some luck, it's fantasy football. But if we look at this, the top 6 teams and points scored, because I think points scored is a better indicator of how strong the team is more than, head to head. Because sometimes you get screwed, you play somebody who has a good week. So if we say head to head or points scored is a good indicator of how good the team is, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of the top scoring teams have made, I think that 5 of the top 6 move teams are in the top 5 rankings, which is just, I think that's evidence of what I'm saying here. Pat, I think you're the only team inside the top 6 this year who has not made very many moves.
Well, no, that's not true because Alexander has made less moves than me.
And
But so here's the thing that I find the most interesting. We've talked about all season long how I've argued that luck has more than strategy. Giz and Creighton both have tried to argue the fact that there's more strategy than luck. I would say this whole conversation right here proves the fact that there is more luck than strategy. And my defense right now is Brecken. Brecken has made 53 moves in the entire season so far. He has the second most points scored in the entire league. You would think, based on those two numbers, that he should be way higher than 5 and 7. But what is his record? 5 and 7. and a 16% chance to make the playoffs. And why is that? Because he has had bad luck this season.
Well, I
If
mean,
it
that's
wasn't-
kind of just the
if it
nature
wasn't
of
for Josh
fantasy,
Jacob-
though.
Right. If it wasn't for Josh Jacobs scoring over 30 points, he would have beat Clay. The point of the matter is he didn't beat Clay because Clay had more luck. And I cannot emphasize luck more in that game than Brecken did.
I mean, a lot of it has to do that there's not a lot of ways that you can affect your opponent.
Yeah.
Like short of like picking, someone up off of waivers who they might have picked up. I mean, there's just not a lot you could do to it's like a sport where you're not actually competing against each other. You're just kind of
Well, that's why I have
are just
Houston's,
matched up.
or that's why I have Cleveland's defense on my roster though, because I played Pat this week, and I'm not super confident in Pat's defense, but I sure as heck don't want him playing against the Texans. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I got the Houston defense. So I think there's
Yeah.
something you can do.
It's like short of that, though. I mean, short of a waiver wire pickup
Yeah.
where that's really all you can do.
Yeah.
Or do some crazy trade where you know that you're trading off a bunch of bye week players or some But yeah,
Yeah.
other than that, you can't really affect your opponent at all.
No, you can't. You can pick up players that statistically in the past will perform and give you the numbers that you need. Right?
Yeah.
But then you can have also players who you spend $80 on and have been a mediocre running back all season long.
Najee Harris,
Cough, Jonathan Taylor,
Jonathan
cough.
Taylor. Yeah, both.
Like, and that's just the whole point that I'm proving, right? Like, yes, there is strategy to fantasy football, and there is nobody better at strategy in fantasy football than Brecken and Creighton, and I will give them that 100%. But there is also luck, and luck outweighs strategy.
Well, here's the deal. I also want to say I think the moves correlates more so to the fact that both of those yahoos, how do I put this PG for the kids looking at home? Both of those guys showed other players the stars and the stripes over the barrel, if you know what I'm saying, while they're assembling their starting lineup. So their benches have just been totally interchangeable, no value at all, total, shots in the dark for the entire back half of the season after they did that. So, people like them, they're able to just totally rotate those and hope that somebody hits one random week. Whereas, the guys who traded them to those starters have guys on their bench who maybe are more valuable or they might come in handy. They need them sometimes.
And I'd also say too that it's not so much that making a lot of moves makes you good. I think it's that good people generally make a lot of moves because they have more time to watch the games or follow it or just know football better or whatever, right?
You could have totally taken a shot at Andy there, Steve.
And then some of us are optimistic. Hey, I've still been Andy's number one defender all year, so.
No, man.
Andy's my boy.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, so I think we're running a little bit up against the time here. So let's go on and get to the guest picks. Steve, you got like a magic bath bomb or something you can rub over there that's going to give you the answers?
Yeah, I was going to do my my jazz bath before you guys showed up or whatever.
I also
what's that commercial? The jazz.
I don't know. Here, he would know.
I think it's a jazz bath, whatever it is.
Hey, what do you guys
that
think?
Was next on my schedule.
I got a lightning round question right after we get done with the picks, so don't let me forget. Okay. So first pick, Steve. We're gonna start with not the game of the week. So let's go with myself versus Pat. What are you thinking?
Ooh, that's tough. I think luck has been maybe a little more on Pat's side as of late. He's been roaring back. And Colin, you just have a way of misfortune coming upon you towards the end of the season. So I'm going to go with Pat on this one. Not for
Aw,
any real
Steve,
reason.
I knew-
It's just
I knew I
it's
loved
just
your
a
buddy.
feel. It's just a feel thing.
I love how we
Alan
just
always seems to get screwed. So we're
we
going to
talk about
continue
I
that
think-
trend.
strategy, and then Steve's decision comes down to Pat having good luck, me
Yep.
having.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta love
Yep.
it. Gotta
I
love
think
it.
I think all that Steve is missing right now is a giant gold chain and a very big cigar.
Hmm.
I think
That's
that would
true.
really
Well,
confuse the look.
I was gonna hit up Winston afterwards. That Winston, not my dog.
I was gonna say.
I was thinking you were talking about your
No,
dog.
I have not trained Winston to bring me cigars. He's too stupid. He would never figure that out. So
That's fair.
yeah.
Okay, so you're going with Pat there. Next matchup is I'm losing this year, Zach versus Patrick's Mustache and Mitch. So
Mhm.
Zach and Mitch, who do you got?
You know, you hate to not give Zach a little bit of hope there, but I won't. So we're gonna go with Pat's mustache. And
I
I
would
mean,
say-
you know, Pat's mustache is related to Pat, who has a lot of luck. So
Maybe that's the problem.
good vibes. Good vibes. So we're going Mitch.
Okay, one comment about Zach's team though. I didn't realize like after he made that trade, who'd he get?
The infamous Creighton trade, or no, it was
No.
the trade after that, the recovery
with
trade.
Clay,
It was
with
Pierce.
Clay.
Oh, Clay. Yeah. That's
When
right.
he got Aaron Jones, I think that actually made Zach a fairly dangerous team. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone that's like amazing, but none of his
It's-
starters are like horrible.
But
For
he got
sure.
Trevor Lawrence in that trade, who has been head and shoulders above what Aaron Rodgers was all year. So underrated piece. Of
I
that
think he totally, that was a great trade for him.
Yeah.
Really, it hasn't realized anything for him, but
Well, it almost did last week.
It
he
almost
put
did,
up
yeah.
like 150 or whatever last week. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
So okay, and you go in Mitch over Zach. Next one is AFC West mystery owner versus Apollo Creed Creighton. Who are you taking? The unknown egg emoji on Twitter or Creighton?
Man, I'm gonna go with Pierce on that one.
Ooh.
So we're gonna
Wait,
go
Pierce?
mystery man.
Oh,
Yeah.
is this like Masked Singer? What's going
I
on?
think maybe they could be colluding. I don't know.
Under that big old red solo cup that's his
We'll see.
his emoji, it's
Yeah.
actually Pierce under there. Okay, got it.
I think so. But we'll Alexander. I think he'll take it.
Pierce's second team over Creighton.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So then the next one is the King John versus, that's so funny. He should just be King John and put a big old British flag over there or something. That'd be funny. King John
Winston
versus
Churchill.
Kittle Corn and Hugh Stevener.
How many points does Josh Allen have already? Let's see. 18
This guy's cheap.
halftime. Yeah, we'll go with me on that one.
I don't think you would have gone anywhere else yesterday.
If Josh Allen is on pace, I'm doing okay. So
Okay.
he is.
Okay, how much do you go into the week, Steve, thinking if Josh Allen gets me 40, I'm winning?
Every week.
Is there any other players that you count on other than Josh Allen?
Pollard or Robinson needs to do well. Not both, just one of them.
Just one
So
of them.
Josh Allen gets me 40. The other one gets me up to 65, and then everyone else kind of fills me in up to like 130, and then we're typically chilling.
Okay, and that's called strategy, Creighton.
That's the strat. I got two cheap running backs who have done well.
It's true. Speaking of cheap running backs who have done well, we're talking about Zeke and Destroy Clay versus Corn Kid and Andy. Josh Jacobs taking on Andy's team here. Who you taking, Josh Jacobs or Andy's team?
Like
just
Josh Jacobs put up 3 games worth of stats last week, so you gotta go with Clay, unless Josh Jacobs on like a bye or something. Is Josh Jacobs on bye next week?
Nope. There's some rumors that he's got a calf injury, but that didn't. He had a calf injury this week in Ranford.
So
Yeah.
sorry,
Wow.
sorry, Andy, but I can't. I have a reputation to uphold now.
Yep,
So-
that's true.
We got to go with Clay.
Okay, so our last matchup and game of the week is Scott's Tots Brecken versus Hertz Donut Pierce. I'll be honest with you, these are two fantastic teams, both
Mhm.
sides of the ball here. It's going to be a shame that one of them's got to miss the playoffs, but this happens every year. A great team misses the playoffs. Yeah, who are you taking to move on, and who are you taking to go home?
I mean, I think besides maybe you, Colin, I think Brecken's got the best team. So I gotta think he'll find a way in. But would it be even funnier is if he won, but then the 16% didn't hit, and then both he and Pierce were out, which it'd be sad because they both deserve it, but that could happen. So I'm gonna go with Brecken just for chaos sake.
Okay, so we're going to also pick this game. Pat, give us your pick. Give us your reasoning, man.
Yeah, so I think this game is going to boil down to how well the Eagles play against Tennessee. If Jalen Hurts can do what Jalen Hurts does and run the ball and throw passes very well, especially going to Devontae Smith, I think Pierce has a very good shot to beat Brecken. If we don't get the Jalen Hurts performance that we do know and love, Brecken is going to win this game. I'm betting on the fact that that Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to steamroll Tennessee, and I think Pierce gets the dub here. And I am not just saying that because I need that result to happen. I'm legitimately thinking that he wins this matchup.
Pierce wins this game.
Yeah.
And we got a coin that can flip.
Yeah, and an actual coin that can flip.
Yeah, like honestly. No, just looking at the matchup, I don't think you're wrong there in your thinking, Pat. My only thing is I think Cordero Patterson isn't getting utilized like he used to be. And so I think that's the weak link for Pierce.
But I don't and that's fair. I don't think that matters though.
But here's the other deal. Lamar Jackson is nursing injuries. He's got a hip and a thigh injury, which I don't know why they distinguish those two. They're all related biomechanically, whatever. So anyways, if Lamar Jackson can't run the ball, I sure as hell am not confident in him throwing the ball, especially
100%.
with the cash heap receivers that they have. So I think I'm going to side with you here, Pat, and say Brecken is going to have Justin Jefferson, Rachaad White, everybody else go off to counteract Jalen Hurts.
100% agree.
Yeah, like I love Brecken's team. I've said that from the get-go. I think they're fantastic.
I'm looking at this matchup right now. I think Jalen Hurts can score 35 on Tennessee.
I think you can too.
I think Austin Eckler has a great opportunity to get at least 25 on Las Vegas.
Yep.
And
I just think that
TJ Hawkinson and Minnesota are playing the Jets, which the Jets are legit this year. Not saying anything wrong, but I think he has a good chance with Kirk Cousins to throw him the ball really well. I think go ahead.
Did you say Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball well, Pat?
I think he's going to throw the ball well to TJ Hawkinson, who is a tight end who can throw, 5 yards. If your quarterback can't throw 5 yards, then why the hell are you playing football?
That's fair.
So I at least can give Kirk Cousins 5 yards to throw. I can't give him any more than that, but he can throw 5 yards.
I think you give him more than that. He's going to go off this week, buddy.
I don't know. We'll see. Justin Jefferson will go off. I don't know about Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
So yeah, I really think looking at everything, if the Jets can contain Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins throws the ball to TJ Hawkinson and the Eagles have a good game, I legitimately think Pierce can win this matchup.
Okay. So, lightning round here at the end of the pod. Out of the teams in the middle three categories, I want you to pick the three that make it in and the three that get left out.
Ooh.
Okay. So we'll start with Steve and we'll work to Pat, then to myself. So out of Colin, Alexander, Pat, Mitch, Brecken, Pierce, Andy. Steve, who's getting in and who's going home?
Well, I think you and Alexander's good for sure. I don't even know if we figured out what the scenario is where he doesn't make it. I think you're a lock, despite the fact I think you'll lose to Pat this week, but you'll win the next game, whatever the hell it is, and you'll be fine. The last one.
That's the tough one. Am I safe?
That is a
to say you're
tough one.
eliminating Andy?
Think, yeah. Yes. Sorry, Andy. I also don't know if we figured out what scenario he gets in.
It's equally as unlikely as Alexander not getting in.
Yeah, exactly. I think some chaos is going to happen, and it'll be Mitch. Why not?
Okay.
I think you know. Yeah, I think. Yep, we're gonna go with Mitch. I don't know why. I don't have a reason.
That means Mitch has to win this week. I
Uh-huh.
have to beat Pat, and then Mitch has to beat me next week.
Correct.
Oh, well, that doesn't match up with my things that I said before. We'll go with Pat. We'll go with Pat just because I can't contradict myself. We'll go with Pat.
That was such a roller coaster.
I was like, oh shit! I said the other thing. Okay, yeah, it's Pat. Congratulations by default. I
you.
think based off all the other predictions I've made this week, it's got to has to be Pat. It's the only way.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna say Pat's for last because I think that'll be fun because this might be his first year making the playoffs. So I'm gonna let him pick it here, but I'm gonna go with myself, Alexander, and I think not Pat, and I think not Mitch. I think it's probably gonna be Pierce.
Ooh.
I think Pierce sneaks in. I think he somehow upsets Brecken this week, and I think he somehow snags a win over Clay next week. Don't ask me why. I just feel it coming.
Spicy. I like it.
Notre Dame gets in every now and then. Okay,
That's factual.
so okay. All right, boys. Cheers to not melting down.
Awesome. Cheers, Steve. Thanks for coming on. Congratulations
course,
again
sir.
on making the playoffs.
Thank you. You won't be seeing that very frequently in the future, probably. But
Hey, now with that attitude,
I'll take what I get.
Balls to the wall this year, baby.
balls
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the wall.
All right.